What is going on, everyone, and welcome to a new video. This is one I've been wanting to make as ARK ends for a while. My all-time favorite rat holes. I have thousands of hours in this game, way too many probably, and I've built a bunch of different base spots over the years on different official clusters, on small tribes, and other things like that. And today we're going to be going over my favorite ones, the ones that worked out the very best, and that is it. Let us hop into this new video. Okay, so we're on Aberration. Definitely going to be a lot on here. You guys know my favorite map by far. So this one I have built here so much lately, especially on Arcpocalypse. Really good base spot, especially for early game. Little less viable when people get tech and can tech rifle it down, but still really good base spot. Can't really build up to it and pretty hard to raid because there's no flyers or anything on Aberration. If you build it correctly, very, very difficult to raid. You can see you can't really place any sort of foundations close. Can't really get a fob anywhere. So I really like this spot. Lots of room in the back for breeding. You can also fit like a replicator in there or an indie forge. Enough space for that. And if you build this out like turrets all down here, becomes really, really hard to raid. Really good base spot in general. Okay, so the next one has to go to my Radiation Rathole. If you watched me before, you know that I built here on small tribes solo. My base lasted for like 6 months. I don't want to give myself too much credit, but I feel like I really popularized this spot. Lots of people built here afterwards. Pretty freaking great spot. Not a lot of space and kind of hard to build, but really, really hard to raid because it is in the radiation zone and you can just spam turrets and defenses all along these walls here. You can just put turrets kind of anywhere you want because the terrain is pretty interesting. So yeah, if you just spam turrets along here, very, very hard to raid online, almost impossible. Good base spot. Okay, so this is the next one. You've probably seen a lot of people build here. Not me so much, but I have attacked this spot. It's very difficult to attack. You can kind of see this isn't really like an intended base spot, but I wouldn't say it's illegal. Not like impossible to raid, but very, very hard. You just follow this spot straight up here, and then it opens up a little bit, and you can build out a whole base. Maybe a little bit of space for breeding, but mostly just storages. One of the best rat holes on Aberration for sure. Not really any other entrance except that one way. So you got to be careful that people can't really tech rifle it, but if you can do that, very, very hard to raid this spot as well. Okay, this spot isn't as great as the previous ones, but still a very good spot. I haven't talked about this spot a whole lot, but I've tried to raid it a bunch of times. I have raided it, but it's pretty hard to raid actually if you built it correctly. So it's on the surface, and this is a pretty small entrance here. You can't fit a stego or anything through it. You have to use turtles or walk in farther to throw your stego. So if you build out all the turrets right there, shoots right through. Actually a decent spot. Plus there's tons of room inside, which is nice. You can build multiple floors in this front room. And there's also a back room back here. Lots and lots of space to build breeding floors or storages. You do have to be pretty smart about building this base. You need like a cliff platform and kind of have to trial and error your way into building this. But once again, I think it's a very good spot. One that has given me a really hard time raiding it in the past. Okay, so we're on Valguero, not this spot. I was actually looking on how to raid this spot, which is why I'm in here. But it is in the Wyvern Trench. So yeah, this spot was like really hard to raid. It's like a rat hole, a Pelagornis rat hole. Okay, so it's this spot. I built here on small tribes, lived here for like 6 months. I know this spot like isn't the best defense-wise. Pretty freaking easy to raid. Probably no thanks to me that this spot is so widely known. That video probably has like 200,000 or 300,000 views, I think. But before I posted it, it was a very good spot. Nobody found my base here for months and months. So that is why I liked it. I just got to log on like once every few days. One of my more relaxed times playing ARK. And it was really, really cool. No one really scouted it even. So yeah, this is why it has to make the list. Pretty freaking cool base spot. I had a bunch of stuff in here. You can fit a transmitter, a little bit of breeding space in the back, a bunch of storages. And it's all just sitting like inches above the lava, which made it kind of cool as well. So yeah, this has to make the list of favorite spots. Okay, and the next one, this one's very popular, nothing new, but I built here several times on Small Tribes, and it's one of the best underwater spots on Genesis 1 in the ocean biome. This little rat hole spot, it's not really like mine. So many people have built here before, and you've probably seen it if you're looking in like base location videos. But it is a very good spot, hard to attack online. There's a lot of space inside. You can even fit like squids in here if you hatch them, and then a bunch of turrets and things like that. And in the back here, you can fit a ton of vacuum compartments, like a 3 by, I don't know, 7 or 8. Pretty huge base you can get in here from vacuum compartments. Probably my favorite rat hole-ish style base that is on Genesis 1. There's not a ton of base spots like this on here, so if you're going to build on here, I would say this spot's decent as long as you can get some dinos, get a lot of turrets in here, and fill them up with shards, you're good to go. Alright boys, I gotta give Ragnarok some credit. I know this map has kind of died in the past few years, not really a viable spot to build a base, but in the early years of ARK, I built here so much, I gotta show some of the OG base spots. Okay, this spot under this waterfall up on this ledge here, I built here a few times, never got found. Starting out, it wasn't really like a final base spot, but a really good starter base spot. Not a rat hole either, I know, but a pretty cool little starter spot. Okay, and this one, it's inside this cave, and then you come here to the end and go to the very back here. I've transferred loot here when I got wiped several times and it never got found. So, okay, this is the only actual, like, real base spot where you could build a main base. You come all the way in this pearl cave, finally to the end. So let me just make this a little bit brighter, and this is a vacuum cube spot obviously, but pretty decent spot, especially if you're wanting to live on Ragnarok. It's going to be one of the few water spots that's pretty easy to defend. It's a one-way tunnel, and it's pretty hard to find if people don't know what they're looking for. So you can build out like a massive base here of vacuum cubes. And then you can also you could spam fence supports all around here, spam squids, lots of stuff to make this spot hard to raid. I built here on multiple servers, and I don't think my base was really found that often. It's been found a couple times, but the other thing is this base is in such a weird spot. You enter in Viking Bay, and then this base is actually over really far away because how long the tunnel is. It's over by the lava area, which is crazy. Okay, so the center, I know the center has so many good rat holes, but I don't really play the center, so I'm not going to list any here. But tribute to the center for having tons of good rat holes. We're not going to talk about them. Okay, so Extinction, this is another one, not really a rat hole, I know, but pretty good base spot for a starter that I have built in a bunch of times. You come over to the edge, and you can build here using only cliff platforms, but it's a good spot. So I have built here starting up on ARK a few times, never really been found. Definitely a good starter spot, I think. Okay, and the next one is on this mountain. You come over here, and there's a good amount of space up in this spot. This one's very hard to build. You can't actually like place structures in here unless you do some weird building tricks. I'm not really going to talk about how to build on this video, but just the spot in general. I think I lived here a few times on Small Tribes and maybe on ARK, but it's actually pretty cool spot if you build up top here. Nice base spot. Okay, I had a base here for a long time on Small Tribes. It wasn't like a full base, but it was an element base. Just a good spot for me to farm element when I lived on Aberration over here in these veins. And then, yeah, not really that great of a spot, but I feel like a lot of people don't really scout the wasteland, especially over here where all the wyverns are and gigas are. So I had like a replicator and a bunch of stuff here for months and months on Small Tribes. Never really got found until I think it just auto-decayed after a long time. Then if you come across here, there's actually a really good rat hole. I don't really think a lot of people know about this. I've built here a couple times. Very hard to build in this spot. It takes a lot of patience to like build on these veins from a cliff platform. But in here, there's actually some good space. You wouldn't even know that this goes like as deep as it does. You can even build like a small breeding floor right here. But yeah, kind of hard to build this spot. Takes a lot and a lot of patience. Alright, and Scorched Earth. You're probably wondering what? There's no rat holes on Scorched Earth, and you're almost right. There's pretty much none, but I have built this spot a couple times, and it has worked out. Let's see, let's get all the way to the end here. One of the few spots that's hidden on Scorched Earth. You come to the end of the trench here, and you can see I have some buildings from messing around. And up here, there's like a little bit of space that you can't really see from the other side of the trench. People aren't really going to scout here too. People only come down here to usually to get eggs or to farm wyvern talons. So you're kind of chilling. And if here, let me get a ceiling. So if you can build kind of at like this level right here, you won't really be found. I actually had a base here for a good amount of time, and it had a transmitter, everything in it. Nobody ever found it. Pretty cool rat hole. One of the only ones I really think that is on Scorched Earth. Okay, and our last one is on Fjordur. I built this on ARK a few times. Really small spot, but worked out well for me. So we're in next to this castle, and then if you come to the very edge here, there's a good amount of space on this little crack. Again, more like a starter base location, but pretty cool rat hole that has worked out in the past. You can fit like a fabricator, a smithy, a few things in here. Nothing too crazy, but a good spot if you're trying not to get found early on in the wipe, something like that. Plus it's next to this cool area, has the fjord hawks and everything nice, which helps you out a lot.